So on number 2, it says that we need to transform f of x, which is 2x to the third plus 4, in the following way. You want to do a vertical stretch. So remember, a vertical stretch is when you multiply the y value by whatever I tell you to stretch it by. Now, if you're thinking, what is y? Y is the entire function. So you need to multiply the whole thing by a factor of 5. So if you take the f of x function and multiply the whole thing, I'm just going to write it as y right now. What will I have if I multiply everything by 5? That's going to be a 10x to the third and then a plus 20. And that's a vertical stretch by a factor of 5. And then it shifts 4 units to the left. So when we think about 4 units to the left, what does that mean? That's really a h value. And we know that h values are in parentheses with the x, and you have to think opposite. So when you're thinking 4 units to the left, that's really going to go in parentheses as a positive 4. And if you look at your multiple choice answers, this one has a positive 4 in there, this one has a positive 4 in there. But of course, if you did a vertical stretch of 5, you should have a 10 in front and a 20 at the back. So that tells you that A is your correct answer. If we take a look at number 3, I hope you guys remember in class we said that all of these multiple choice options are incorrect. And what we want to do is describe the transformation from f of x to g of x. So once again, you have the parent function f of x equals x, and you want to get to g of x. So how do you change that a value of 1 to become an a value of 1/3? Well, notice that that's not in parentheses, okay? That's out in the front. So how are you going to change the a value of 1 to become the a value of 1/3? That's actually doing a vertical compression of 1/3. And since we don't even have the correct multiple choices right there, I'm going to do an option E and describe the transformation. So that we said it's a vertical compression of 1/3. So it's a vertical compression of 1/3, and then what happens if you take a look at your g of x function? You already did the 1/3, but you also have a -6 as the k value at the very end, which means it also gets shifted down 6 units. And there you have it. That's the transformation from the parent graph f of x to the new graph g of x. It's a vertical compression of 1/3 and then gets shifted down 6 units. If we jump to number 4, we have a function f of x equals -4, parentheses x minus 3 squared plus 1. And it's saying which of the following is completely true. So the first one says that the parabola has a vertical stretch by 4. Does this have a vertical stretch by 4? Yes, it does. Even though it's negative, yeah, it has a reflection over the x-axis first, but it does have a vertical stretch of 4. And then it says the y-intercept is 0, 1. Remember, how do you find the y-intercept? To find the y-intercept, you must set x equal to 0. And solve. Again, to find the y-intercept, set x equal to 0 and solve. So if we take a look at this function right here, f of x equals -4x minus 3 to the second power plus 1, and we want to find the y-intercept, which means we need to set x equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so we need to actually take the x value and make it a 0 and work it out. So that's really going to be it's really going to be a -3 squared, which gives you a 9. So you're really going to have -4 times 9 plus 1. So that's going to be -36 plus 1, which is going to be a -35. Go back and write that. Equals -35. That is ugly. I apologize. I'm doing this one on my phone. My y-intercept value is going to be -35. So if we take a look at the first answer, it says the parabola has a vertical stretch by 4 and the y-intercept's 1. That's incorrect because we just found out that the y-intercept is negative 35, right? So the y-intercept is not 1. So if we scroll down, we will see that option C is the only one that has the y-intercept of negative 35, so option C is our correct answer.